Well, joining us now, we're going to stay on this topic, is Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois, co-sponsor of the Democratic Justice in Policing Act. And, Senator, I want to get you to directly respond to what we just heard from Senator Scott. He says, contrary to popular belief, that he had gotten a commitment from Mitch McConnell for an open amendment process. And many Democratic senators I talked to over the last week had said to us, if it was an open amendment process, they would look at this again. I get the trust issue. If it's an open amendment process, would you be willing to reconsider?
Not as the bill is written, because the open amendment process still would require 60 votes for us to pass any of these amendments. And we are unlikely to find enough Republicans. That's well over a dozen Republicans who would have to vote on the Democratic amendments. What should have been done was, from the very beginning, it should have been by a bipartisan development process where Democrats and Republicans sat down together to jointly write this bill. They shut us out of that whole process, and they put Senator Scott at the front of this and just presented us with a bill that doesn't do anything. And remember that George Floyd's family, the families of the victims of police brutality, are also opposing this bill as is being presented by the Republicans. It's all show, but there's no systemic change that needs to happen. And Democrats were not even allowed to be part of the process of writing it. And so, no, I mean, what he's talking about, you would still need 60 votes for each amendment, and that's unlikely to pass.
Do you believe, Senator, that Democrats' hand would have been strengthened in the Senate had the House already passed a bill? Could there be a passed House bill right now, their form of police reform, that was sitting there waiting for the Senate to take up? Had that happened before this process, do you think that would have created more pressure, particularly if, let's say, a dozen House Republicans had voted for whatever the Democrats had proposed, which right now, you talk to various people, that's very possible?
Well, I think we're getting the best pressure out there, and that is millions, tens of millions of Americans marching on our city streets, in front of their homes, in public spaces, calling for real reform. And the Republicans have resisted that. So if they're not going to listen to the people, I doubt that they're going to listen to the House Democrats. And what we've been asking all along in the Senate is, please let this be a bipartisan process. There's a committee called the Judiciary Committee that could have reviewed this bill together and come forward with something. They didn't even go through that process. They just presented a bill, again, that is all, just eyewash, as we used to call it in the Army, where it doesn't really do anything. It's all studies, we'll gather data, we'll do all this, but none of it actually bans chokeholds. None of it actually mandates independent investigation of police reform. None of that is in there, and that's what needs to happen, systemic change of a system that is inherently racist against Black Americans.
Senator, you just said that they're not going to listen to the people on the streets, and it's more than 50% of the country that wants police reform. So you believe they're not going to listen to Democrats. It sounds like you're giving up, like this is not going to go anywhere, and there will be no police reform passed in Congress this year, not with this administration or this Senate.
I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep applying pressure, and Senate Democrats are going to keep applying pressure. What we need is a process where Democrats and Republicans sit down and do this together. My colleague, my senior senator from Illinois, Dick Durbin, along with Cory Booker, earlier this year actually passed, in this session, earlier passed reform, criminal justice reform that actually decriminalizes some of the convictions for marijuana possession, for example. We were able to do that, and the president signed that bill into law. Success can happen if we do it in a bipartisan way, if the Republicans let us sit down with them. We've shown that it can be done. We're just asking for it to be done again this time. And let's not put on a show and try to deceive the American people by putting a vote on the floor that is never going to pass. It's not going to get 60 votes. You said there's an open amendment process, and you know that those amendments are not going to get 60 votes. All you're doing is trying to deceive the American people. And frankly, my constituents deserve better than that. They deserve real reform of our criminal justice system now.
Senator, I want to pivot to the virus very quickly. I want to play an unfortunate comment from the president yesterday about the virus in Phoenix. Take a listen.
I said the other night, there's never been anything where they have so many names. I could give you 19 or 20 names for that, right? Kung flu, yeah.
Senator, I don't know what you may have a deeper reaction to what the president said or the cheers for it.
Well, this president is racist. He's proven to be racist. He said things like, can I say it on the air? What he named countries in Africa or countries where immigrants are coming from. Now this Kung flu virus. He is a racist man who continues to use racist language to try to divide us. What this country needs is this man out of the White House, and we need a real president who's going to unite us, who's going to bring us together. That's what Vice President Joe Biden will do, provide real leadership. You know, President Trump was out at a rally more concerned about the paltry 6,000 people who showed up than he was about 120,000 dead Americans. He's more worried about using racist language than he is about trying to get more testing out to people and getting more treatment and putting more money into finding a vaccine for this virus. It's shameful that this man is the president of the United States.